Has your current job changed you? Has your business changed you? Has your relationship status changed you? Has how much money you have in the bank account right now changed you? Have your friends who no longer support you changed you? Listen, if you are a woman of faith, pay attention to this. All these different things cannot change the one thing that you already are, that God spoke into existence in your mother's womb. Before you were born, before you arrived, whichever family background you came from, Asian, American, African, European, whatever your background is, there is an identity in you that is deeper than the external. Do not forget that. So, quick question again. Has your job changed you? Has your relationship status changed you? Because listen, when all these things change, there's something that you cannot lose: who you are, your identity. Because your identity is so important that the enemy will use external circumstances, he will use people, he will use situational circumstances to try and change how you see yourself. This is so important. In business, you may have some clients who don't like you, who want to manipulate you to only do what they want you to do. But you've already explained to them how you work, what you are bringing to the table. But there's some people who will try and change that. There are people like that. You can be in a relationship. When you first start going together, it looks like you are all getting together. You're getting along. And then it gets to a point where he or she realizes they cannot tolerate how you are. They want to change you. And if you are not willing to be changed, then they will throw you to the side of the road. And some of them, the hope is they can destroy whatever is left of you. Listen, if somebody's watching this right now, I want you to understand something. You cannot forget who you are. You cannot lose your identity for any or whatever reason. You see, even in relationships, right? One day you may hear part of my story. A person coming into your life does not mean you lose your sense of self. You cannot lose your sense of self for a relationship. You cannot lose your identity for the sake of a relationship, because some relationships are temporary. We think they're going to be permanent, but they are temporary. There's some relationships we think it's going to last a lifetime, but they don't. And we didn't know this. So you cannot give up your identity for the sake of a relationship. Yes, some people will take advantage of titles and role play and want you to give up your identity. That doesn't make sense. That is not a relationship. That is not a healthy marriage. It is not a healthy marriage if your partner wants you to become somebody else. You have something to contribute to the marketplace, but your partner wants you to stay at home. While it may look good for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that, while it may look good for a while, there still has to be something that you can do for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. You doing something for yourself or to even support the family does not take away how effective you can be as a partner. That doesn't even make sense. You starting a little business on the side, part-time, that can support your other dreams that you want to do, because maybe the money your husband makes is not enough and you want to do other things. You don't have to fit into the budget that he has. You can decide, you know what, I want more, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that you're comparing yourself with anybody else, but it's just deciding, I want to do more out of life. I want us to go on more holidays. And the income coming in right now, one income, in the time that we're living in, it's not even enough. So you can decide, I'm going to start a little business on the side. That cannot be an intimidation. Seriously. It's just a resource. And by the way, you become a more interesting person if you've got your own thing going on. You become a more interesting person. Seriously. But if you've got nothing to do, all you do is wait at home, take the kids to school, come back home, your life can become boring. Are you sure you want to give up who you are for the sake of a relationship? That is not even a relationship if you have to completely throw yourself out the window, dismiss all your gifts, talents, and abilities. That doesn't make sense. That's not a relationship, actually. That's something else. You may come at me and go, oh, yes, it may work for some people. You can decide. But I know people who they gave up who they are for some years, and it got to a point where they realized their own life didn't matter anymore and they didn't want that anymore. You don't lose who you are because you're now in a relationship. Listen, if you need some support in getting back on your feet, becoming confident, I understand. I've been there. I've been in relationships where I thought I'll make the relationship a priority, only to discover it was getting worse. You can be a great woman, but for the wrong man, forget it. You can be a great employee, but for the wrong company or organization, forget it. You can be a great contributor to your church, but for the wrong church, forget it. You can be a brilliant communicator, but for the wrong audience, forget about it. So you don't change who you are to fit in with what other people want. You tell people who you are. And this is one of the things that I teach in my coaching, your personal brand. What is your personal brand? What do you stand for? What do you care about? What matters to you? Then the right people, if you have the right message, they'll find you. So this is a message I'm giving you now, a leadership message. It's time for you to rise up, right? And stop allowing yourself to be defined by the job you have. Because the job you have currently may look at you based on how much money you earn. And you have to decide, is this who I am? Is that my identity in life? Really? Are you going to be defined by how much money you make right now? You have to decide. Because as you look at these things, there becomes this awareness, wait a minute, I am more than my job title. I am much more than how much money I'm making right now. I am much more than my marital or social status. You are way much more. That is how we go through the art of reinvention. You rebuild your personal brand and you decide, this is me. And there's nothing anybody can do about that because you have a right to exist in your best identity that God gave you. You see, when you work with a coach like me, what we're going to do is look at what you are really good at and then use all that to get you to the next level. What are you really good at? And are you ready to become a leader? What do I mean by that? There are people going through what you have gone through and they need your support. How are you managing? How are you coping? How are you doing day to day? Because some people fall apart after a relationship. And I can understand that. It is hard. It is not easy because you invest everything into a relationship, and that's what could be the challenge. But when you are in a relationship, but you still have a business that you can support yourself, you can take care of yourself. Yes, it will hurt if you have to go through a breakup. Hopefully you don't, but you'll still have you. You cannot allow any external thing to define you or play with your identity. You cannot allow that by any means. It doesn't matter whether it's your husband or your wife or your children or your parents or your siblings. You cannot allow anybody to mess with your identity. Because at the end of the day, when you can take care of yourself, you can support yourself, you can just leave the drama and go do your own thing. You can choose who your friends are. You can choose where you spend quality time with because you know how to support yourself. There are people who believe up until the way into old age that they need people who can take care of them. And when those people cannot take care of them because they have their own issues or for whatever reason, they don't know how to function. Do you think that is God's plan for any human being? Is it really God's plan that you can't function if the person you put all your weight in can't help you? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. Listen, if this resonates with you and you're like, Coach Meg, I need to grow in confidence. I need to do more for myself. I want to experience more of life. I want to travel the world. I want to learn new hobbies. I want to start a fashion brand. I want to step into my creativity. Some of us, we are so creative. We are missing out on so much. Some of you, God has books inside of you, but your books are trapped because you're distracted by drama. You're distracted by toxic work environments. Some of you are authors, some of you are film producers, some of you are pilots, some of you are scientists, some of you are lecturers, some of you are entrepreneurs. But you have allowed your relationship status to shut you down. You have allowed your current job status to define you and shut you down to that level of income and lifestyle. Do not spend all your life just making money. Create a life for yourself. If this is helpful to you, you want to build your personal brand and you want to glean from the wisdom of somebody who has worked in 3 different countries. I've worked in healthcare and I've gone through the breakups and the drama of relationships. I understand it. Walked away from a career that everybody else was terrified. I understand it. I have a coaching offer for you that will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, you're like, oh, it will cost too much, it will be too expensive. Do not allow what you think to block you from your best life. Your best life is just a decision away. Imagine being in a place, this is my offer to you. Imagine being in a place where you have peace of mind, that no situation can change how you see yourself. That place exists where no external circumstances, things that change, can change how you see yourself. Loving yourself so good that you don't allow temporary circumstances to change how you see yourself. To have peace of mind, to enjoy your rest, not based on what other people say, but because you have peace of mind. You are enjoying your quality of life. Where there's drama, you walk away from it. That kind of place exists. Do not allow what other people define as happiness and success to define yours. You decide. So listen, if this is helpful to you and you're like, I need to explore, I need to do more out of life, I want to become stronger, I want to know how to have peace of mind, I want to become the best version of me, let's talk about it. I'll see you on the next video.